what are the greatest challenges when grape growing in your region?
Well, I think it's the vineyard work is exclusively manual, no? And we have most of them in slopes. At the same time, we have quite a high precipitation of 900,000 millimeters per year. Um, so the climatic characteristics are definitely a challenge. It
Yes,
can
for sure.
be, it is like, it can be an advantage as well as a challenge at the same time. Um, so I think to handle this at the extremes now, especially with climate change at the moment, which we are facing, just to give you an idea, here in the Alps, we will face it much more severe than in the rest of Italy. That studies show that in the Alps you have a bigger impact on climate change with more extreme weather conditions, and this is the right now what we are facing. So it's hard to predict. Whether there is a high precipitation or very dry periods, or lately a lot of hail, punctual hail problems. So it's more about managing in the vineyard, which are the most difficult task to get done. Yeah, but also the cooperative and the small family structure sizes helps to overcome these problems. You have to think that if you have to get a task done very quickly, in our case, for example, where one family is overlooking a little bit more over a hectare, you can be very flexible and very fast doing a different task in the vineyard than you would have 10 hectares, even
I
if you have
understand.
a lot of
Yes, yeah,
workers.
yeah.
So this is definitely one of the strengths of our viticultural structure here in our region.
Is frost damage a challenge?
Frost damage is a, a tiny challenge, I would say.
Okay.
So depending, well, because nowadays, like I said, it's unpredictable. So I cannot really give you a straight answer. In our case, we are a little bit more lucky maybe than than other areas in Alto Adige, because Kurtatsch is basically one continuous mountain slope from the bottom to the top. So you have there is no development of so-called cold seas, we call them, where this cold air is staying and will
Yep.
damage the wines. That's in our case. But we had, especially this year, in the most northern region of Alto Adige, the so-called Valle Isarco, we had 3, 4 days -5 degrees, more than -5 degrees, where those farmers had to work with candles to fight the frost, and those of course are quite expensive tasks. And yeah, this is something will take place more and more. Climate change is there. Yeah.
Now you said candles there. Did you mean windmills?
No, the candles, the paraffin candles, the wax candles you light
Oh, I
up,
see. I see. I see. I
like
see.
from Burgundy or from
Yes,
Bordeaux.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yeah. I never heard them referred to as candles before. That was what threw
And
me.
we call them candles
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know. How do
Um,
you
just heaters basically, but
heaters?
yeah,
Okay, okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because candles, I was imagining all of these
No, those are like huge
yeah, yeah,
candles.
yeah. Um, yeah, my other question with that precipitation, is disease pressure a challenge?
Disease pressure, of course, is a challenge. We have one factor which helps us a lot, which is the so-called ora. Ora is a wind coming from the Lake of Garda, from north of Italy,
Yeah.
which usually comes throughout the afternoon, which dries a lot, which reduces the pressure a lot. But of course, if you have vintages like 2024, where we had a rain I could not think of since 15 years, the
Really?
precipitation we had in
Really?
the last 2 months,
Yeah.
where you have to treat constantly in order to handle the pressure. Um, that is challenging. That is a big challenge. Yeah. If you look the year before, it was a very dry, so it's going extreme.
So how realistic is organic farming up there?
Organic farming is a big task and is very realistic. It's I would say 90% are organic farming, but not certified. This has to do with two things. First of all, most of them might use phosphoric acid to extend the treatments, and not in order not to make too many treatments in high periods with a lot of precipitation. And secondly, and that's in our big problem as being a cooperative, we rely is the apple market. Now you will wonder why the apple market. So as I said in the beginning, most of the farmers, they don't have only vineyards, they have as well apple orchards. And if you look at the organic apple market in the last 7-8 years, the farmers cannot achieve the price they need to grow organically to be to have a healthy economy income for the farms. So it's for us impossible to convince them, please turn your farm organically, when they say why I cannot match the costs when I'm producing my apples. So that is a thing nobody will think of, but that's our reality we have here. So we call it sustainability. We are now certifying our winery sustainable for the Ministry of Italian Agriculture, has a official certification system. That's what we are doing right now. So yeah, that is the thing right now.
Excellent, excellent. Now let's talk about the two wines that are in the Ontario market right now. You have the 2023 Pinot Grigio and the 2022 Schiava Sonnentaler. Is that correct? Sonntaler.
Yeah, Sonntaler. Yeah.
Let me ask that question one more time. Now let's look at the two wines which are in the Ontario market right now. We have the 2023 Pinot Grigio and the 2022 Schiava Sonntaler,
which is this wine here, exactly.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, starting with the Schiava, with the Sonntaler. Schiava, first of all, for those who are not so familiar with the variety, is one of the 3 indigenous varieties we have here in Alto Adige. Schiava back in the 80s had been planted everywhere almost in Alto Adige because it's a very vigorous variety, producing a lot of grapes. So back in the days, the more it produced, the better it was. So it is basically the most historical wine for our region. We produce also here 2 different types of Schiava, a classic and then the Sonntaler, which has this additional name there. The Sonntaler is a wine we produced since 1994, where it has been the selection of the best and oldest Schiava plots. That's why it says alte Reben on the label, which in our German means old wines. In our case, it's 60 to 90-year-old wines, but made in a traditional way, meaning just working with large old Slavonian oak, very gentle pressing, very little extraction, in order to focus on the strength and the elegance of the wine and of the Schiava, and the freshness and elegance. That's the real strength of this variety. Many journalists consider the variety to be the lightest red variety in the world. Because it's, so that's our way of producing of our Schiava. And we are very successful with it. I think it's one of the most known Schiavas in America at the moment. Because those old wines give an additional texture, but still maintaining the character of this the leanness, freshness, and elegance, the verticality of the variety. And playing with temperature, you can play a lot. It always should be a nicely chilled around 13, 14 degrees. That when shows best.
Related to that, I was just about to ask you, I don't have the details in front of me right now. What's the alcohol on that usually?
Here it's a 12.5. That's actually, the average, I would say the average amount we have in the Schiava. That's how it should be. With a night chill, it's the perfect wine for pairing with tomato-based dishes, even with pizza or white meat, turkey, or in our style traditionally, it's charcuterie. It's a perfect chillable summer red, but also in winter just for for almost every occasion, because it suits well. It has texture, but a lot of freshness. And as we say here in our winery, a good Schiava, you don't count the bottles, the glasses you drink. You count the empty bottles afterwards, because
Gotcha.
you just continue to drink it.
It sounds like my kind of wine. Perhaps I'm going to have to order a six-pack of the for the summer. I think I should. That sounds right up
Try
my
it out.
alley.
Try it
So,
out.
moving on to your Pinot Grigio, I've tasted this wine before, and I know for a fact it's a million miles removed from the commercial Pinot Grigio that we see in markets all over the world, to be quite honest. It doesn't have quite the same extract and concentration as Pinot Gris in Alsace, but it has this marvelous textural quality to it, as well as that alpine freshness. Would that be a fair enough observation?
So I think it is a perfect explanation, really well explained. And that is, you can rely to our terroir. First of all, we have massive day and night temperature shifts, diurnal shifts. Especially our vineyards in Kurtatsch, we are southeast facing. We get very warm temperatures already at 9, 10 in the morning. But then the sun disappears quickly around 5, 6 p.m. in summer. And then you have those 15, sometimes even to 18 degrees of difference within the same day. So this leads then to a perfect maturation, physiological ripeness, but the acidity does not drop down in the days before the picking as in other vineyards, because it just drops down very, very more slowly. So that leads then to a fresher impression, to a more aromatic and more character, especially a more aromatic character. And the soil where we have the dolomitic limestone soil, especially in the whites, they lead to this kind of almost salty aftertaste you get. And that's why you have this lean and very crisp style. Very different from Alsace as well, because our wines are bone dry. They have maybe 1.5 or maximum 2 grams of residual sugar. And this is our style. By the way, Pinot Grigio is now Alto Adige's most planted variety. In our case, although we like the grapes come from a high elevated sites, 400 to 700 meters of elevation, and with the lower yields. Just to give you an idea, the commercial Pinot Grigio, most of them are from the Delle Venezia area, DOC area. You can harvest there 18,000, 20,000 kilograms per hectare, still calling DOC. We work with 10,000 kilograms per hectare, so totally different yields, of course, which lead to a different quality.
Now, I would be happy to drink that wine by itself because I find it so enjoyable, but it's a little bit more serious than just being a quaffer. It would lend itself to many a gastronomic means, I imagine. So what would you tend to pair that with? I mean, you've been working with the company, doing all of these wine dinners, events, and the like. What are the most interesting pairings you've seen with that Pinot Grigio?
So for me, it's not only a food wine. For me, it's also a wine without food. You can in summer outside in the
Oh, for
terrace,
sure,
but
yeah.
with character, with intensity, with structure, with length. And that is what differs us. Of course, with food, I always would go to starter dishes based with vegetables, based with seafood, of course. So that's why it's something serious, but still you're able to maintain a high drinking frequency, as I like
High
to call
drinking
it.
frequency, yeah, that number, that mysterious number. I really appreciate you spending time with us today at Good Food Revolution, Harold. Thank you very much for giving us such an insight into everything that's going on at your wonderful cooperative. And I hope that at some point in the not too distant future, you'll be over in Ontario and we can crack open a glass of each of these wines and maybe some other stuff together.
I would love to do so. Thank you very much, Jamie, for the opportunity and saying goodbye and hello to everybody in Ontario. And hopefully you can visit our wonderful place once over here. That will be even better.
That would be fantastic. I'll see what I can do. Thanks so
Yeah.
much for your time. Take care, Harold.
Thank you very much.
Bye for
Bye-bye.
now.